There is a moment in almost every relationship, friendship, family bond, and even the quiet connections we build with strangers, when something invisible begins to change. Nothing dramatic happens. There is no argument loud enough to mark the beginning, no betrayal obvious enough to explain the ending. The room still looks the same. The voices still sound familiar. The routines continue exactly as they did yesterday. Yet beneath all of it, something has already started slipping away. Most people spend months trying to discover what they did wrong, replaying conversations, examining expressions, searching for a single sentence that destroyed everything. They imagine there must have been one catastrophic mistake. But the truth is far more unsettling, because the mistake almost everyone makes is so ordinary that it feels harmless while it is happening. By the time anyone notices it, the consequences have already become part of the relationship itself. The strange thing about human connection is that it rarely breaks under the weight of one terrible moment. More often, it changes because certainty quietly replaces curiosity. In the beginning, every interaction is filled with discovery. You notice details. You wonder what the other person is thinking. Every conversation reveals another piece of someone who still feels mysterious. Curiosity keeps attention alive because the mind is naturally drawn toward what it does not completely understand. Then, slowly, almost without realizing it, certainty arrives. You begin believing you already know who they are, how they will react, what they will say, and what tomorrow will feel like. The relationship has not become worse. It has simply become familiar. And familiarity is comforting, but it can also encourage people to stop paying attention. That shift happens so quietly that almost nobody recognizes it while it unfolds. We become less observant, less surprised, less intentional. We assume there will always be another conversation, another dinner, another weekend, another opportunity to notice the small things that once felt unforgettable. We stop asking questions whose answers we think we already know. We stop expressing appreciation because we assume it is understood. The dangerous part is not malice. It is assumption. Assumptions have a way of replacing presence without announcing themselves. Perhaps that is why endings often feel confusing. People search for dramatic explanations because dramatic explanations are easier to accept than gradual ones. It is easier to believe everything changed in a single afternoon than to admit that hundreds of tiny moments slowly reshape the connection. Relationships often drift before they collapse. They become quieter before they become distant. The silence is rarely empty. It is usually filled with unspoken expectations, overlooked kindnesses, and conversations that never happened because everyone assumed there would be time later. Memory has its own tricks as well. When something ends, the mind edits the story. It highlights the happiest moments and the most painful ones while erasing the long stretches in between. Those ordinary days rarely seem important until they are gone. Suddenly, what you miss is not the grand gestures but the familiar laugh across the room, the routine greeting, the comforting certainty that someone would be there tomorrow. Ironically, those were the moments least appreciated while they were still happening. There is another habit that quietly changes relationships, waiting for the other person to notice first. We often hope others will recognize our effort without our saying anything. We expect appreciation to be automatic, understanding to be effortless, closeness to maintain itself. But people live inside their own thoughts far more than we realize. They carry invisible worries, private fears, unfinished conversations with themselves. Assuming they see everything we feel is one of the easiest ways for disappointment to grow without either person intending it. What makes this mistake so universal is that it does not begin with selfishness. It begins with comfort. Comfort tells us we no longer have to be as attentive as we once were. Comfort whispers that what exists today will naturally exist tomorrow. Yet life rarely promises that. Every meaningful connection is shaped by small moments of attention repeated over time. Not because relationships demand constant perfection, but because people want to feel seen, even after the excitement of something new has faded. The irony is almost impossible to ignore. The closer we feel to someone, the easier it becomes to overlook the very habits that created that closeness in the first place. We remember birthdays but forget ordinary Tuesdays. We celebrate milestones but overlook quiet acts of patience. We think love, trust, and friendship survive on their own, when in reality they are often strengthened by simple moments of genuine attention. Eventually, people ask the question that echoes long after something has changed. When did this happen? They imagine there must have been a specific date. A particular conversation. One decision that divided the past from the present. Sometimes there is. But more often, the answer is impossible to find because change happened gradually, one unnoticed moment at a time. Looking back, every small choice seemed insignificant. Together, they quietly reshaped the entire story. Perhaps that is what makes human connection both fragile and extraordinary. It is built less by spectacular moments than by ordinary ones repeated with care. A conversation remembered. A question sincerely asked. A moment of attention offered when it would have been easier to assume everything was fine. These moments rarely become dramatic memories while they are happening, yet they often determine how people remember an entire relationship years later. The one mistake everyone makes is believing that what feels secure no longer needs attention. We confuse permanence with stability. We mistake familiarity for understanding. We believe that because someone has always been there, they will continue to be there regardless of how carefully we treat the ordinary days. Yet the ordinary days are where every lasting story is quietly written. And maybe that is the haunting part. Most endings are not born in moments anyone would remember. They begin in moments nobody thought mattered. They begin when curiosity quietly gives way to certainty, when presence slowly becomes assumption, and when attention fades not because people stopped caring, but because they believed caring no longer required noticing. Long after the relationship has changed, people continue searching for a single mistake, never realizing the answer was never one unforgettable event. It was the accumulation of countless forgettable moments that, together, quietly became impossible to ignore. Then comes the realization that almost nobody is prepared for. You were never really fighting one devastating mistake. You were fighting the slow comfort of believing that what mattered yesterday would naturally survive tomorrow. Every meaningful connection begins with attention. Every lasting bond is built on curiosity. Yet once people feel safe, they often stop noticing the small details that made the other person feel irreplaceable in the first place. They begin to recognize the face but overlook the emotions behind it. They hear the voice but stop listening to what has changed. The relationship does not collapse because love disappears overnight. It weakens because familiarity quietly convinces both people that nothing important is changing. Meanwhile, everything is changing. That is why people are often shocked when someone walks away emotionally long before they leave physically. The distance did not appear in a single moment. It accumulated through ordinary days that nobody thought would matter. Every unnoticed disappointment, every conversation rushed instead of experienced, every assumption that there would always be another chance became another invisible thread pulling the connection apart. Looking back, there is no dramatic scene worthy of blame. Only hundreds of ordinary moments that seemed too small to remember until they became impossible to forget. The tragedy is that memory refuses to preserve those ordinary moments. Instead, it keeps asking the same haunting question. What did I do wrong? The mind searches for one answer because one answer feels survivable. But life rarely offers one. Sometimes the ending began months before anyone realized it. Sometimes the silence that hurts the most is simply the echo of attention that slowly disappeared. And sometimes people never stop loving each other. They simply stop seeing each other. Perhaps that is the one mistake everyone makes. We believe relationships are protected by history. We think shared memories guarantee a shared future. We assume that because someone once understood us, they always will. But history cannot replace presence. Yesterday cannot do today's work. Every connection lives in the present, not in the memories that created it. One day you look back and realize the ending never arrived like a storm. It arrived like dust settling on forgotten furniture, so gradually that nobody noticed the room had changed until everything was covered. That is why the most painful endings rarely feel explosive. They feel confusing. They leave behind no villain, no perfect explanation, only an unsettling truth that follows people long after the story is over. The greatest mistake was never one terrible decision. It was believing that the smallest moments were too small to matter. In the end, they were the only moments that ever did.